The Labour Party has truly demonstrated what an utter cesspit it has become under Keir Starmer and David Evans in the wake of so many suspension letters being sent out, often at a ridiculous hour, midnight or 1 a.m, designed to cause maximum distress to people unable to act at that time or to start their day with. Young Labour Chair Jess Barnard was one such recipient, a fantastic advocate for the party, somebody who genuinely wants to make a difference, someone who has a particular interest in mental health awareness and has spoken of her own struggles publicly. So what did Labour do? Choose to send her a suspension letter at 1 a.m. in the morning on Suicide Prevention Day for, of all things, standing against transphobia. The Labour Party has become a regime of diktat under the current leadership, flouting the rule book in order to impose orders to not discuss certain topics, block no confidence motions in the leadership, for example, or block solidarity motions with some of those already suspended, and meting out suspensions for the most ridiculous reasons, such as those given against people who had ever had anything to do with proscribed groups at a time before they were proscribed, leaving the party open to legal challenges as it has. You'd think, given Keir Starmer, as he always likes to remind us, being the former Director of Public Prosecutions, he'd know when he's doing something legally stupid. But perhaps he or Evans really don't care, as long as they can keep purging socialists, keep driving more members away, so the party, in as dire a state as it is in, remains in their control. Above all else, that is what this is about, control. So it is that we come to Jess Barnard, the elected chair of Young Labour, the representative body within the Labour Party, to represent members below the age of 27. A weird figure, but there we go, who has herself been targeted for suspension. Jess has found herself on the wrong side of the Labour leadership, but she hasn't let that stop her doing what she feels is right. And that means highlighting causes the leadership would often rather not. And it has invited pile-ons from the right-wing supporters of that Labour leadership, most recently for inviting the Palestine Solidarity Campaign to speak at the Young Labour event at Labour Conference. She's also found herself on the wrong side of the right-wing press, with Murdoch Times scribbler Oliver Cam going as far as to derangedly accuse Barnard of wanting a second Holocaust for Young Labour's advocacy of Palestinian rights. Thankfully, there are journalists out there who will write factually, such as the Squawk Box, who has covered this story in detail. No support from the Labour leadership whatsoever, though. They'd already cancelled Young Labour's rulebook mandated conference of their own, so you can see how much regard the leadership have for young members, about as much as they have for members full stop. This Labour leadership would rather have rich donors. However, at 1 a.m. in the morning of Friday, the 10th of September, Jess Barnard found herself presented with a suspension letter for challenging transphobia. I'll repeat that. She was challenging it, not defending it. It is indefensible to defend hate speech of any form at all. Identifying as trans is a protected characteristic after all. But that is not what Jess Barnard was doing, and was not what she'd been suspended for. She was challenging transphobia in a Twitter exchange with a right-wing Labour councillor and had been issued with a suspension letter for it. It was on Friday, Suicide Prevention Day. Often such letters, knowing they cause significant distress, particularly to long-time members, are supplied with contact details for the Samaritans. I don't know if that was the case with Jess, but my goodness, can you imagine if anyone sent suspension letters on that day was? Here are the tweets in question, where Jess makes reference to TERFs, an acronym standing for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. Emphasis should be on the first two words, since, as I said before, identifying as trans is protected in law. I also failed to see what is so feminist about behaving this way towards people either. The label fits the behavior. Jess had done nothing wrong. In fact, if it's not obvious in the first tweet, it is with the exchange with the councillor, where she is clearly defending the rights of trans people and not attacking them. To her credit, Jess went straight to the NEC and also got her legal team involved. Lo and behold, later that day, the suspension order was rescinded. The claim from the party is this was sent in error. But the Communication Workers Union General Secretary Dave Ward hits the nail on the head when he sent a tweet saying the Labour Party disputes process is in disarray. It is not an error to hunt through somebody's tweets, compile an investigation document, attach it, and send it. This is clearly factional and wrong. Of course he's right. A fair amount of work goes into investigating anybody to the point a suspension is warranted, or at least it should. But you get the feeling they're being doled out like sweets, especially when they're being sent out for standing up for a protected characteristic. Are we the transphobe party now? It'd be good to get a statement from Starmer on this, but he's been too busy tweeting about tennis to show interest in this or show Young Labour's top representative an ounce of solidarity. It had been suggested that all of this was the work of a rogue senior official with a vendetta against Barnard, but again, the work involved shows this is a risible, weaselly excuse. She was targeted for her beliefs, which are not in keeping with the current leadership, even if they are in keeping with the party's ethos, and she's not alone. Another example publicised in Evolve Politics this morning shows a Labour member who shared one of that publication's tweets relating to support for a 4-day working week and championing free broadband has been suspended on the basis that they've shared racist content. Free broadband isn't a protected characteristic last time I looked. I've yet to meet somebody who self-identifies as broadband and who might be offended by that. Something has got to give. With Labour conference just around the corner, things may well be explosive. I sincerely hope they are. They need to be. A lot of hurt and upset is being caused by these often hilariously stupid suspensions that sadly people affected do not find funny at all. Exposed for being based on absolute idiocy, on factional vengefulness, as they have in this and many other instances, is incredibly damaging to the party's reputation, its electability, and we need a change. And that change has to come from the very top, not from amongst the membership and not from amongst elected representatives who do such a sterling job as Jess Barnard does.